Hello everyone, so I just finished watching Tetris. This is a new movie directed by John S. Beard, stars Taron Egerton, and it comes in at just a little under 2 hours long, rated R, and you'll find this on Apple TV, so streaming on Apple TV. So without further ado, let me get into my review for Tetris. So this is a biography drama that is the story of how one of the world's most popular video games, Tetris, found its way to players around the globe. Businessman Hank Rogers, played by Taron Egerton, and Tetris inventor Alexei joined forces in the USSR, risking it all to bring Tetris to the masses. So a lot of what this game is putting it in simple terms, is the game behind the game. And that game is how Hank Rogers was able to basically buy all the rights, being computer rights, PC rights, console rights, and handheld rights to Tetris under the nose of the USSR and under the rights of the American business company who actually stole the rights away from communist Russia. And it's just, again, too, the game behind the game of how Hank Rogers was able to, again, just seal the deal with the inventor of Tetris, with the Russian government, to bring Tetris to the world and get those rights secured for Nintendo. So really right away, I was sucked into this movie. I thought it was so interesting. I did not know anything about the, again, origins of Tetris and what it took to really get the rights to Tetris and get them out of Soviet Russia in the 1980s. I was really just enthralled by this movie in a lot of ways. It's directed really cool. There's really so much to talk about within this movie, but I did really enjoy the pacing of the movie. I found that it was really well done, and there wasn't a moment that just didn't really skip a beat for me. Everything felt needed. There's nothing really that felt like it needed to be put into this movie more than what they already told us and showed. There were some really great moments in this movie that I just really enjoyed. I like seeing, again, too, just the characters. Well, it's a character study in a lot of ways, but I'll go into just seeing all these characters interact with each other, build their friendship, build their trust, and having their politics, having their basically being from two different worlds, America and Soviet Russia within the 1980s, just collide in so many ways that were just really interesting. And again, too, the narrative really pushed a lot of this movie on me that I just enjoyed in so many ways, in terms of the pacing, the way it's written, just very sharp dialogue that really like lets you into all the dealings that went behind the door. Just presented in ways that were very easy to understand and very entertaining to watch and see play out. And that's all bolstered by amazing performances, especially by Taron Egerton, but really just everyone in this movie who brings so much life to the characters and makes them so believable. Animated in some ways, but animated just really works, whether it be business tycoons in America, or whether that be KGB spies in Russia who are using this deal to bolster their own power and take away from the people of Russia, basically capitalizing communism in a lot of ways. Again, it's a story I did not know, and I just love the way that they absolutely presented it. And one thing too that I found really cool is the music in this is like a really cool blend of the original Tetris theme that blends like a sci-fi 80s soundtrack into the background of this music. I did find sometimes it felt like it was a little out of place, but I really liked the music and I really enjoyed it. So I don't want to say it was out of place in a way that took away from the movie. It just felt like, and I think this is just too, watching so many movies in my time, I was expecting your average orchestral soundtrack, not some 8-bit sci-fi thing. That's, again, too, like, it felt a little bit out of place, but it worked really well for, again, the story. And I just loved how they're able to take that original theme and spin it in a very cinematic way and a very orchestral way in a lot of ways, as orchestral as 8-bit can get for this movie. The only really downsides that I see from this movie is there's one kind of car chasing in the end that I felt was just way over the top. And even though the ending of the movie isn't sloppy, I found that it was just a little over the top. It was definitely a little, I guess, really animated is the best way to put it, where everything just felt over the top in a lot of ways. That's just felt goofy and silly compared to, again, to just the narrative, the dialogue, and the tone from the rest of the movie. It did feel really different, where it went almost into a full action style movie when it's a drama for the rest of the movie, just again to build that tension. So even though I did find it a little bit goofy, again too, I was still really invested into the characters, really invested in the story, wondering how things were going to play out and how again too they were going to get out of the USSR and make certain that they get Tetris rights to the rest of the world. So I was still fully invested the entire time. And one thing that I really, really like too that they did with the direction of this movie is there would be times where they would animate the characters, so they would bump into something, they would get a little bit angry, things like that, and they would basically get like the static animation that you would see in the 90s, that 8-bit animation on the characters in ways that I just found was very, very stylish and very, very cool. There was times too where during that chase scene where they would animate the entire thing and it was like an 80s just very linear video game, car driving video game where you're having to dodge traffic, little things like that that I just found made this movie very, very unique in a lot of ways. And I just loved that art style that they put into it, and definitely made this really unique in the way that they filmed it in a lot of ways that I haven't seen in a lot of, again, to historical drama biographies. So really with everything taken together, I really, really enjoyed Tetris. Again, too, the only thing that really brings it down is not a sloppy, but a very over the top kind of final act within this. But I have to give Tetris a 7.5 out of 10, and I highly recommend it to anyone, especially, of course, if you love video games, the origins of them, and if you're a fan of Tetris in any way. This is definitely a very, very good movie. Taron Egerton knocks it out of the park. It's super interesting, and I think it's a story that should be told because I had no idea that anything like this ever went down to get the rights of Tetris to the entire world. So again, so you'll find this on Apple TV. It is well worth the watch and easily one of my favorite movies that I've seen so far this year. So if you've seen Tetris, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. And of course, if you like this review, definitely give it a thumbs up, and you can check out everything I do on the channel through my playlist down below, and all links are up top here for convenience sake. Thank you for subscribing and turning that little ringer on so you know when I upload new videos. If you want to check out the description of this video or my channel bio, there's a link to the Media Mountain, which is my Discord where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, pretty much everything that's awesome in this world. So you can definitely join that amazing community. I'll make it even more amazing than this already. And yeah, just awesome, guys.
I just hope that someone would love me.